Hi, hello, and welcome to the final episode in my Guerlain Ombres mini-series. I'm going to do a look that I've done like several iterations of previously, and I have basically worn them on my channel in whatever video or shown them on Instagram, and I've always gotten questions from you guys what I'm wearing, so I thought even though it is a very simple look, I'm just going to show it to you today because some of you apparently find it fun. And it is also a perfect opportunity to close off this series with the metal butterfly quad, which I consider to be probably the most versatile out of all the 4 quads that I personally own, and I think maybe from what I have seen in their collections before. And then we can just, you know, say a few closing words about the quads that I have. I am going to start doing my makeup though, because eventually I have to get to work as well. I'm going to take the Urban Decay primer potion to prime my eyelids. So like I said, I have 4 out of the 6 quads from the core collection, and I enjoy all of them. I don't know, I've been thinking about, okay, if I had to pick a favorite, which one is my favorite, but it's like trying to get me to choose my favorite feline child. I love both of my feline children very much. I can't really pick a favorite. I think they all serve a different purpose, but they are slightly different from each other. So like I said, to me, Metal Butterfly is the one that is definitely the most versatile, just because of the variety of the different tones and textures that you get in there. You get all the 3 different textures that could possibly be present in these quads, and you also get a variety of different tones. For foundation today, I'm going to grab the Prada Reveal foundation in the shade LN5. Then we have Royal Jungle, which in terms of the amounts of textures is just as versatile, because it also has all the 3 different textures, but it is just a little bit more centered around brown and like bronzy gold. Beautiful quad. If you are looking for something that's neutral but also has quite a bit of a smoky element to it, then I highly recommend Royal Jungle, because the darker shades in there are just so stunning, and that one like sparkly fairy dusting type of shade is also just such a beautiful, elegant, sparkly topper shade. If you're lusting after one of these quads but you really don't like warmer eyeshadows and you don't want to have any warm eyeshadows in these quads, then really your only option is unfortunately Imperial Moon. Even within their limited edition collections, they've had a lot of repetition of the same types of tones. They really like to put their like warmer golds and orangey type eyeshadows and burgundy type eyeshadows. So unfortunately there is quite a bit of repetition in their limited edition and core collection. Rosy tones. So unfortunately, if you're looking for something that is on the cooler side, your only option really is Imperial Moon. But Imperial Moon is just such a absolutely glorious representative of its kind. So if you want cooler tones, go for Imperial Moon, because it also offers all the 3 different types of textures. Going to grab the Dior Skin Correct Concealer in the shade 1N. If your jam is really warm eyeshadows and you don't really care so much for the different types of textures, then I highly recommend Exotic Orchid, because it is just so deliciously warm, but it doesn't have the latexy matte texture. It only has the satin and the one like flakier, sparklier eyeshadow in there. It's not even a topper, it's more like a sparkly gold. But if you love your warm tones, I think you're really going to like Exotic Orchid. And there are 2 other quads in the core line that I don't have. There is one that has a blue and a darker green. Think of something like the green eyeshadow from the Sublime palette from Pat McGrath Labs. So, and I think there's an orange in that quad as well. I don't know, it's like a deeper, smokier, somewhat like more jewel toned type of color story. I don't have that quad because I don't think I would get too much use out of it. And the other one from the core line that I don't have is centered more around pinks. And because I don't really wear pinks all that often, I figured maybe it's best not to buy things just for the sake of buying eyeshadows in this specific formula if I'm not going to wear them. And also, I'm very happy and pleased with the pink that is present in here. I don't think I need more of their baked pinks. I'm going to set with the Charlotte Tilbury Airbrush Flawless Finish Powder. The only other quad that I've truly been tempted by in the past year that is still in the baked formula has been the Denim quad, because of that beautiful lavender shade, and it just had such a like interesting color story to it. I had even found it on Vinted and someone was selling it for a really good price. Ultimately, I decided not to get it. I don't know whether I would regret my decision eventually when they never release another one of those baked quads. We shall see. But that's probably one of my biggest criticisms of this line, that it is, unfortunately, there's quite a bit of repetition of the same type of shades, and there are still so many different types of eyeshadows that are missing. We haven't seen anything that's a bit more neutral or more on like the taupey brown side, and I would really have loved to see them come out with color stories like this in that format. But unfortunately, that doesn't seem to be the case. I'm going to quickly do my brows off camera with the Too Faced Laminating Brow Wax, and I will be back to do the rest of my face. I'm back taking the Nabla Skin Bronzing in the shade Dune to quickly bronze up a little bit. So these are basically my concluding thoughts on these quads. I don't really know that there's much hope left that they're going to release more of these baked quads, because they haven't really done that for a year, and I've sort of like given up hope on Pat McGrath Labs as well. So I can really see my interest and my passion for Pat McGrath Labs having made quite the dip in the past couple of months. I'm just not super excited, and I don't have high hopes they're going to release something awesome, because I almost feel like now we're dealing with a completely different brand. But anyway, we're not talking about Pat McGrath Labs. I have the same feeling with the Guerlain Ombre G quads. I don't know whether the same person is still their like creative director for the makeup line, but I can see that there is a shift in the types of formula that they're using. I don't know why. Maybe they received negative feedback from other customers about this formula, or perhaps it has gotten very expensive to make, although these quads are still the same price. The ones with the regular eyeshadows, they're not cheaper, they are the same price as the baked ones. So that also doesn't seem likely to be the reason. For the blush, I'm going to take the little card tool from Pat McGrath Labs. This is the Bridgerton 2 Blushing Delights palette, and I'm going to make a little boop here in the pink blush. It's a very pretty blush, it's a very pretty color that looks very enlivening, I think, on my face, just like a little flush of color on my cheeks. Sorry if I sound a little bit like tired and everything. I am completely like physically destroyed. I had a very long and tiring day at the lab yesterday, because I had an experiment which had like, I want to say something close to 5 hours of just pure incubation steps, and then in between you have to do other things which were also rather physically demanding, and I had to run around a lot, and it was a Thursday, today is a Friday, and I am utterly destroyed. Also, it is partially my fault. Yesterday I was also very late at home. I think I was home almost at 7:30. I had to rush home because I had invited a friend of mine for dinner at 7:30, and I had sort of planned my day in such a way that I would make it home just on time, like tops 6:15, and I would have more than enough time to, you know, prepare dinner and everything. But then I'm a dummy and I forgot a very important part of the protocol. So I had to put antibody on my cells. Let me grab a highlighter and we can continue chatting about this. I'm going to take the Divine Rose highlighter, also from Pat. The thing is though, in order for the antibodies to go inside the cell, you need to make the cell membrane permeable. So you need to put like a very low concentration of a detergent in a buffer, and only after that you can put your antibody. So then I went to work. I did like a step of the protocol that was required before I put the antibody on, and I have to incubate with that antibody for like an hour. And then I had already done the incubation, and as I was, you know, thinking about the next step, all of a sudden I had this moment of sheer panic, like crap, I forgot to permeabilize the cells. And permeabilization is literally like a 2-minute step in the protocol, 2 minutes Turkish. But if you skip that part of the protocol, if you forget it, and I've done it before, I'm speaking from experience here, you're not going to see anything. It is such a teeny tiny minuscule step. It takes only 2 minutes to fuck up a day of work, like a very long day of work. Luckily, I realized my mistake on time, so then I collected back my antibody, I put it in a tube, I went back to permeabilize my cells, and then repeat. I'm going to quickly melt the powder on my face with a little bit of setting spray. This is the one from Charlotte Tilbury. So then because of that though, it had already been like at least 1.5 hours of steps that I had to repeat. I was very much set back. Totally my own fault, by the way. But then in the end, a day that was already planned out to be rather long and intense became even more long and intense. So there's that. So today I'm physically destroyed. Alright, you are nice and zoomed in, and for today's look I'm going to focus actually on the pink eyeshadow that I was referring to earlier. This is one of my favorite pink eyeshadows, if not my favorite pink eyeshadow, because it is just so neutral and unoffensive in tone. I really like that shade. Now, a step that I don't usually do when I do this type of look is going to be one that I'm going to add to our protocol today. I'm going to go into the latexy brown matte, but I'm not going to apply it in my usual winged eyeliner shape. I am just going to take a little fluffier type of brush. This is the Sonia G Crease Pro, and I'm going to apply this shade quite diffusely on my lids. I'm going to concentrate it a bit towards the lashes, and then I'm just going to sort of blend it out. And I'm going to layer the pink over top of that because I'm just curious how that's gonna look like. And I'm not going to overdo the brown because I don't want to take away completely from the pink tones of the pink eyeshadow, obviously. But this is a step that I haven't really done before. And I was inspired by one of you to try it because one of you mentioned using these two eyeshadows together, the pink and the brown. So I thought, well, I can give it a try too. So now I'm just going to very diffusely apply this eyeshadow. And also I have done, I think, a look where I've just diffused this eyeshadow on my lids and then used a liquid eyeshadow over top of that. If I don't forget, and hopefully I do not, so mental note to editing Mariam, to link a bunch of the looks in the cards that I've already done with these quads, because I have posted quite a bit of content with them. And I will do my best not to forget to link that in the cards for you in case you're interested in more looks with these quads. And just applying this brown shade is such a pleasant experience for me because it is so easy to work with. Next I'm going to grab the Jumbo Blender from Sonia G, another one of my favorite types of brushes to apply one and done eyeshadows. Again, you can see a flat brush which is a little bit fluffy. You can sense the theme here. I like my fluffy but flat brushes to apply one and done moments. And I'm going to pack now the pink shade all over my lids, and then I'm going to blend it through the crease. And that brown is going to just peek underneath to create a little bit of definition and smoke in the lashes, but it's not really going to show up much because we applied a little bit and it was very subtle. But you can also see how beautifully neutral that pink eyeshadow is. It is not too bubblegum, it is not too Barbie, it is not too anything. It is just perfectly neutral and unoffensive, and I really like it. It is in their satin formula, so it doesn't really have any sort of shimmer or sparkle, which is why I usually pair this eyeshadow with some sort of a sparkly shade. By the way, and I'm going to just quickly mention it, we didn't get around to doing it, but if you put this eyeshadow very smoky all over your lid and then you layer this one over top as a sparkle moment, that is also a really pretty look. But today I'm not going to go for that. Today I'm going to grab the latest holiday release, Mega Mothership release from Pat McGrath Labs. This is the, I already forgot the name of this palette. This is the Starstruck Splendor palette, gorgeous palette. And the shadow in here that I usually love to use layered all over this pink, and you can probably immediately guess which eyeshadow I love layering over top of this pink. It's this one over here. That is the shade Opalescent Moonstone, because it is just such a beautiful fairy dusting of greenish bluish sparkle with that tiny bit of a peachy pink base to it. And again, I don't really use a glitter glue because I just want it to be a gentle fairy dusting moment rather than intense metallic sparkle. Now, as usual, I am going to apply a little bit of the NYX glitter glue in my inner corners. So I'm just going to apply a little bit of the tacky base here in my inner corners. And in fact, I am going to grab a little bit more of that Opalescent Moonstone shade on a smaller brush, and then I'm going to use it over top of the glitter glue just for a little bit more impact and shine, because that will really create a completely different effect on the inner corners. You could also just use your highlighter or some sort of a neutral champagne shade. And I just used whatever of the tackiness was left on the back of my hand here to apply a little bit on my lids, because I actually feel unfortunately that sparkle is flying away from my lids for some reason. I think this eyeshadow is not sticking as well as the Astrals over top of the texture of that satin shade. So this, I have to say, maybe requires a little bit of a tacky base in order to stick over top of the pink. And on my lower lashes, I'm just going to repeat what I did on my upper lashes. I'm going to blend out the brown very lightly underneath, and then I'm going to apply also a bit of the pink over top of it. Let's take a look at this with a bit of artificial lighting. Very pretty and very sparkly. I decided to stick with the pinks even for my lipstick, so I whacked on a little bit of Lisa Eldridge Wonder Wheel. This is one of her loose-ends. Arguably, maybe not a very suitable pink, although I think it works with the look. Even though it is a different undertone, it is a much warmer pink compared to the eyeshadow from Guerlain, which is like more of a neutral, maybe even slightly cool leaning. I somehow feel like the look still works pretty nicely together. It's monochromatic, but still a little bit fun because of the different undertones of pinks, and I think Wonder Wheel just really like brought a lot of like life to the look, because the eyes are relatively subtle, so I really needed like something to brighten up my face, and I think Wonder Wheel just did the job beautifully. So I'm going to close off this series here. I hope that you have enjoyed the 5 looks that I created with the Guerlain Ombre G quads. Do let me know your thoughts. If you have a favorite look from the series, be sure to let me know which one it was. I'm very curious. As usual, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye!